Welcome back to another episode of 5 Minute Friday. Just flows off the tongue now. This week we are talking about, what are we talking about? Things that I would change in the van if I had to do it all over again. This is the Ram ProMaster 2500 with the high roof and the 159-inch long wheelbase. A little backstory, I had to build this out because I work for the National Park Service and I needed to bring my dog Sailor with me. So I kind of had a limited time to do it. This was back in the end of 2020 and it took about 4 months, I believe, to build it out. Basically, I got the job was going to start, and then I kind of had a limited amount of time towards the end. So there are some things that just, maybe I ordered the wrong thing and I didn't have time to return it and get another thing shipped. Some things like back here above my bed, it's still not finished, but point is, there are things that if I had more time, I would have done differently, or there are things that I just know I would do differently just because of having lived in it and experienced it. So these are the things I would change if I could do it over again. But before we begin, I just want to give a big shout out to Sean. Sean has been watching, I think you've kind of been here since the beginning of this channel, which is pretty crazy. There's this link down in the description where you can buy me a coffee, which is like code for buy Sailor some treats. So this week, Sean bought me 5 coffees, which is amazing. Unexpected, very much appreciated. So if you are enjoying the channel and you feel like buying Sailor some treats, you can click the link down in the description. Anyway, let's get started. These are the things that I would change if I had to build the van again. First things first is this cabinet thing that I'm sitting at. So this is kind of the second iteration of this cabinet. It started out as just kind of a refrigerator cabinet. So it had the refrigerator down at the bottom with a lower countertop. I decided that it was kind of a waste of space because it wasn't a extra countertop that I could use if I was cooking. And then on this side is a bench seat that you can open, and then inside I have just kind of stuff. So last December, my brother and I decided to make some alterations to it. So now the counter is just about the same height as the other counter on the other side. And then in addition, I realized I could add 2 drawers in between the refrigerator pullout and the countertop. So now I have a little bit more space. That's been really great. Now the problem is, now when I sit here, this is how much space I have. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. This is how much space I have now. Really, like there's no elbow room. If I had to do it again, I think I would extend it out a little bit more into the doorway. I think I could probably do another 8 to 10 inches pretty easily. And then when I do that, I'd be able to widen the bench seat a little bit more. And that would also give me a little bit more storage down underneath here. Similarly, I would want to build some sort of cubicle organization kind of thing down in there. So I think I'd build it with some sort of organization. I've also kind of played with the idea of having a drawer that pulls out of the front so I wouldn't have to open the top, or have 2 levels where you can open the top for the top level and pull out the bottom one as a drawer. Something like that. I just think it could use a little bit more organization. The second thing, which kind of goes with the first thing, is the refrigerator itself. If I had to build this again, I would get one of the refrigerators that opens from the front, like more like a traditional refrigerator. The one I have is like a cooler style one. So it's a 12 volts, it plugs into a cigarette lighter. The problem is it's so cluttered, like everything just kind of ends up on top of each other. Pretty much to get anything out, you have to take everything out, or, the top layer, go layer by layer. Things are collapsing, things are falling. It's not the end of the world. The refrigerator works just fine. It's okay, but I think if I was going to do it again, I would get an actual front-loading refrigerator. The other problem is when this fridge is full, it is really heavy. And being that it's on those slides, there are already 2 latches inside. That will work if the fridge is not full, but if I take a turn and there's a lot of stuff in the fridge and it's really heavy, that whole thing comes flying out. And I've tried all sorts of different things to keep it closed. Nothing seems to be working. Every time that happens, I have to pull over, get out of the van, walk around because I have that bench seat in the front, get back here, close the drawer. And it also makes it hard to make turns because I'm always worried that the thing is going to pop open. The other reason I didn't get the standard front-facing fridge is because they are expensive. It looks like Dometic is one of the very few options, and that fridge is about $1,000. And I just didn't want to spend that. This fridge that I got was $300. So at the time I was like, perfect, that'll work fine. If anyone out there has a good option for a 12-volt fridge, like a front-loading 12-volt fridge that isn't $1 million, please feel free to leave that information in the comments. I could really use that. But point is, if another thing that I would do differently, again, this was another thing that kind of came down to cost. I have two 100 amp hour AGM batteries. It works. That is fine. Generally, I'm plugged in or I am driving. So either way, I'm getting those batteries charged. AGM batteries can't go below 50% or it damages the battery. I have been lucky in that hasn't happened too many times. It has happened twice. So for AGM batteries, you always have to be mindful of how much charge is in the batteries. The other issue with AGM batteries is that they are heavy. They take up about, 2 feet of space back there maybe, but those were cheap, so I got them. If I had to do it again, and this one isn't even something that's just like if I had to do it again, this is something that I would like to do in the future, is to upgrade those batteries to lithium batteries. And it looks like the prices have gone down a little bit, so I think for the same price of one lithium battery when I was doing the build, I can get two now. So I would have a true 200 amp hours instead of being only able to use that 50%. So I'd be going from 100 amp hours to 200 amp hours. If I were doing the build again, I think I would have just put the money in up front and put lithium batteries in from the beginning. A few other things that I want to eventually do in the van that if I would have had more time, I would have done from the beginning. One of those things is add solar. Now, I actually didn't add solar strategically. One of the big reasons that I wanted to build out a van rather than like buy a trailer or an RV or something like that is that I could save a little bit of money up front, building just the things I needed right then, and then I'd be able to add things on as I felt like I needed them. My thinking at the time was I don't really need solar because I was either going to be driving to a park, so I could use my DC-DC charger to charge the AGM batteries, the house batteries in the back. So if I'm driving, they're charging, and then once I am in my spot, I am plugged in, so I have solar power. Nope. So then I have shore power. Before I started this season, I ended up traveling for about 2 months. And that's when I realized it would have been really nice to have solar. I don't even know if I would do the roof mounted ones. It might just be enough to just set one up outside, one of the portable ones. But if I were building the van now, and also money wasn't an object, I would put those solar panels up from the go. Next is windows. I do want to add more windows. This is a future thing. But again, if I could do it again, I would have added more windows from the beginning. I ordered this big window to put into the slider door, and I ordered the wrong size. It was too big. So I messed up and ordered the wrong window. I do want to eventually put that window into the slider door, a smaller version of that window. For one, I'd like to just have a little bit more airflow in the van, but also because when you're driving, if there's no window there, this is just one giant blind spot. Similarly, I wanted to do 2 windows in the back over the bed. The problem was when I was building out the van, those windows were really back ordered, like 6 months. When it's hot out, it would be really nice to have those 2 windows, plus the one in the slider for airflow, but also safety. This last one is something that I have talked about before, the water heater. Like I mentioned before, I wanted to have hot water in here, but I couldn't really figure out how exactly was the best way to do it. So first of all, the actual hot water unit takes up a lot of space, at least the ones I saw. They take up a lot of space. There aren't a ton of 12-volt options. If you have any tips on hot water heaters in a van that don't take up a ton of space and also don't cost $1 million, let me know in the comments. Yeah, so I think that's it. I like the van a lot. There's just a couple things that had things been a little different, like I would have had more time and more money, I would have done things a little differently. But honestly, somebody asked me the other day if I had all the money in the world, what would I do differently? I was thinking about it, like aside from the things I mentioned today, I don't think there's a ton more that I would have done. I really do like it the way it is. There's just a few little logistics that would be easier if I had more money to have put into the build and more time and things weren't back ordered and, little things like that are out of my control. If you have any suggestions on topics that you want covered, please let me know. There are a few that I'm still working on that people have suggested in the past, so thank you if you have sent in a suggestion. I will try to be back next Friday for another episode of 5 Minute Friday. And I have a couple other videos in the works, so hopefully those will be out soon as well. Okay, goodbye. Welcome back to another issue. Hey. Welcome. And focus here. Link down in the bio. And, down in the bio. Wrong platform. Down in the bio about, I did it again. I'm so stuffy. I feel like it could have been betterly. But point is, if what was I saying? That meant that whatever. If you have any suggestions, whoa. I want to make sure this is working, right? Hello, your ear's inside out.